So, as I'm pretty sure you're all aware, I'm a federal licensed firearms dealer, and I'm a small shop. I'm a one-man show, and I don't move a whole lot of volume. And so, when it came to shipping firearms, when I first got into this, I figured out that the easiest and most cost effective way for me to do this was to print off all my labels, package up all my things, and then take it down to the customer service center. That was just the way you did it. You produce a signed copy of your license and a signed copy of the license to where the firearm's going. Whatever, it gets accepted, off it goes. Long guns have to ship ground, adult signature required. Handguns have to ship next day air saver, signature over the age of 21 required. And again, they all have to go to licensees. Everything else was just, whatever. Slap it in a box, put a label on it, out the door it goes. So this past Tuesday, August 30th, I went down to the customer service center to drop off for my Tuesday. And the gentleman at the counter said, "Hey man, I hate to tell you this, but we got a buzz from corporate saying that we can't do this anymore. Everything has to originate from a pickup account." And I was kind of taken aback by that. I was pretty confused. And so he gave me a number. I called the number. They directed me to another person after getting completely shuffled around online and using their 1-800 number. And so what ended up happening is that I got in touch with an account executive who I guess is my account executive now. I'm not really sure. And I was told now that all firearm shipments have to originate from an account, a UPS account that only ships firearms. They have to ship licensee to licensee, just like before, and they have to be pickup only. They can't be dropped off at the customer service center, which is, we'll get into that in a minute. Along with that, you would need a separate shipping account for firearms parts, and those are also required to be pickup only. Again, firearms parts, we'll get into that. And then you need a third account for everything else. Books, publications, ammunition, whatever, right? And that was the interesting thing, at least to me, that when we were going over all these things via email and phone, that ammunition was completely disregarded from the whole pickup situation, and that's still beyond me. But anyways, so talking about the 3 shipping accounts that are now required, this is the only copy online that I can find about this, right? So this took effect August 29th, and if everybody is kind of up to date on current events, on August 24th, 2022, the new ruling for definition of a frame receiver, privately made firearms, the redefinition of a gunsmith, and all those sort of things, and new record-keeping requirements took place. Everything took effect August 24th. So it's interesting that this came out August 29th, which is the Monday after that happened. August 24th was a Wednesday. So their defined terms, capitalized terms used and not otherwise defined in this agreement, will have the following meanings. 2.1, firearm will have the same definition as set forth in Title 18, Chapter 44, and Title 26, Chapter 53 of the United States Code, right? 2.2, a firearm part is any part or component of a firearm that does not by itself meet the definition of a firearm. Okay. And 2.3, firearms products. Firearms products means firearms and firearms parts. The term firearm product does not include, and then there's supposed to be a list of exceptions there. That is strangely missing from this document. Usually the list of exceptions is one of the most important things to get when you see an agreement like this. But so far, that has not yet surfaced. So I am not 100% sure what the exceptions to the rule are. So anyways, I got to talking with this account executive, and he laid out this framework for me that now, in order to keep visibility on the shipments that are coming through, they all have to be done through pickup only. And I thought that was really odd, because at least as far as chain of custody goes, if it was really an issue about things going missing or getting destroyed or something like that, I would feel that you would have more chance for things to go missing and get destroyed if they're picked up by a driver than transferred to a facility versus just the customer driving them to the facility themselves. But I'm not a lawyer and I don't work at UPS, so I don't know what they're thinking about. But anyways, going through this, basically it's the same thing that has been going on for the longest time. Everything has to ship licensee to licensee. One of the more interesting things that's on here now is that everything has to, or every firearm must have a serial number on it, right? Which is, if you're familiar at all with military surplus firearms and commercial firearms, I believe made before 1964, or if it was 1968, I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but it wasn't required to have serial numbers on any of that stuff. So that's going to cut out a really strange part of the market if that is a thing. They also say that it is your responsibility before you ship any firearms to check their page online as far as their restrictions on firearms, because it's subject to change without notice at any given point in time, which I think is kind of screwy. They also accept the right to refuse shipments for any reason whatsoever that they suspect from anybody or any account holder. It's kind of slimy, I think. Let's see what else here. Shipper will not tender to UPS any firearms product shipment that does not comply with all applicable laws, rules, and regulations. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's just a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo. So here's the strange parts right here. So account limited to firearms shipment and delivery/receiver requirements. So the UPS 7.1. The UPS firearms account numbers set forth below must be exclusively used for shipments containing firearms. Shipper will only ship firearms under the UPS firearms account numbers. It will not use the UPS firearm account numbers to tender any shipment other than firearms. 7.2. The UPS firearm parts account numbers set forth below must be exclusively used for shipments containing firearms parts. The shipper will only ship firearms parts under the UPS firearms parts account numbers and will not use the UPS firearms parts account numbers to tender any shipments other than firearms parts. So when I talked to this account executive, he said that he wanted, this was a rule change that they said was to create visibility over what was going on. All right, so back in May, a couple of senators got together and, talking about ghost guns and all that sort of thing, and they wrote to the major shipping carriers, FedEx and UPS, and they said, like, hey, what's going on with these ghost guns, man? We feel like you guys are dropping the ball. They basically just sent them a nasty letter to the effect of. And so I have a feeling that part of this is them running scared because they want to, when it comes to quote unquote, visibility, I think this is some sort of weird backhanded attempt in order to tabulate and calculate the amount of firearms that are in their network at any given point in time. What they do with that information is up to subjection. And the other thing is that they want to, create accountability for things that get lost and stolen in transit, right? Well, I would, at least on my end of the fence, I would believe that the highest possibility for anything going missing or getting destroyed in transit would be when it's on a truck headed around the neighborhood or whatever it is for that day, and then going back to the distribution center versus having the customer drop the item off directly at the distribution center. So I think, at least on my end of the fence, I believe that this is a way for them to tabulate and calculate and really get numbers to figure out how many firearms or how many parts are in their system at any given point in time, the specific accounts that have the highest volume, the specific accounts that are cross-referenced with whatever other nefarious databases are out there. But that's just me, like I'm not sure how anybody else thinks about this. Let's see here. Delivery/receiver requirements. 8.1. Shipper will engage UPS to transport firearms only if destined for consignees who are federally licensed. Shipper will provide verification of licensing of its consignees to UPS upon request. Like before, that's what you had to do when you went down to the customer service center. Without limiting the foregoing, shipper will engage UPS to transport firearms only if designated to consignees who are over the age of 21 and legally authorized to receive, possess, and purchase firearms. So that kind of makes. I mean, that's up for debate, but I know that this is one of those broad-reaching things just because of what's going on in individual state legislation. So what's cool in my state might not be cool in your state. They're trying to cover their ass as far as that goes. 8.3, shipper must always use adult signature required and direct delivery only service for packages containing firearms. Shipper must designate ASR and DDO at shipment processing using an approved UPS shipping system. Again, same thing as before. You can't redirect or reroute firearms. That's a thing, right? So yeah, it's this is one of those. This is one of those situations where, at least for somebody like me, either this is going to get to the point where it's financially draining, or it's going to get to the point where customers don't want to have to keep paying for the added cost on top of what they're already paying for, relatively expensive shipping. So it's a very frustrating situation to be in. When I was given the graduated sliding scale from my account executive or whoever the hell this guy is, the cheapest option that I saw, no account minimum, was $15.50 per pickup. So if you ship, like, let's say for example, if you ship 10 packages that require a $15.50 pickup, you can spread that across all those packages and be cool, right? But if you're only shipping one package that week that requires pickup, and say it's a handgun, so you're paying, let's say, $45 for next day air, then you're paying $15 on top of that, $15.50 on top of that. I mean, that's getting ridiculous. Now, I find it very interesting that FedEx has a policy that's kind of sort of similar to this. I don't use FedEx just because I've had nightmares with them in the past, so I really don't give a fuck what they're doing. But USPS, they never received this letter because USPS operates only under congressional authority. I'm not 100% sure on how the process works, but they have to make the rules and regulations for USPS. So it's pretty interesting that USPS, I mean, if it goes this way, I know they've got some really wacky rules when it comes to shipping handguns, but if everything keeps going the way it is, I guess USPS is the only place that's going to be shipping rifles and long guns and stuff like this. But this is just something new, something interesting, or I should say frustrating, that's happened. It's a very strange situation, and it's infuriating for a small business, especially like me, because like I said, I don't move a lot of volume. And like when it comes to, like, say the federal government makes an executive order or a decree or whatever, they do an impact and sustainability and all that sort of analysis, and they say like it's going to affect this many small businesses to the tune of however many millions or billions of dollars, right? This company, they're a private company, they don't give a fuck. And that's what's pretty frustrating about this, and especially since, again, they're a private company, they can do what they want, these are their policies. But yeah, I mean, I've had great success with UPS in the past, but I mean, this is getting to the point where it might be time to call it quits, with UPS, especially if the rates keep going up, and then, why they're being so clandestine about their tabulation of all this data and all the accounts that these firearms are coming from and going to. So, if anybody's got any more information or any which way on how to go about this, or how to work around this, please let me know, because I've been hanging in limbo with this account guy for, I think I'm going on 4 days now. I've just been going back and forth, trying to figure out how the fuck to get around this, and especially since I've got customers that are, going to be expecting shipments here soon, so I need to figure this out soon. But if anybody has any other interesting anecdotes, information about this, please let me know. This is something new. It's something absolutely infuriating. So, yeah, I guess at this point we just got to kind of stick together and figure it out. So, thanks for watching. I would say happy building, but fuck, man, like, this is kind of rough. So, like I said, if anybody knows anything, let me know down in the comments below. I appreciate it.